Sales success is human success, it's not financial success. I actually made more sales when I let go of the outcome.
Selling becomes easy and it becomes fun. Torrin, thank you very much for having me here today. It's exciting to share your story with the viewers. Can you tell us a bit about your background? What led you to start your business, High Level Selling?
Thanks, Calum. Good to be here. It's been a bit of a journey. I'm now approaching 35 years in business in general, and been in the real estate business for the last 24 years. And that's where I really got stuck into selling and sort of trying to hone my sales skill. So fast forward all through that career of real estate to what I'm doing now, or focusing my attention on, is around high level selling and how do we help business owners who are not traditional salespeople to be able to get higher conversion rates with higher value clients. The other part of my journey is about human behavior. How do we bring the human experience to the business experience? And for me, the more I've done that over my sales career, and particularly in the real estate, the more I've found I've connected with people and been able to get, really, really good results. And now my passion as I'm getting into my senior years of business is how do I help other business owners who are facing similar challenges that I did sort of 20, 25 years ago, and then really be integrating that with the human experience. How do we bring the human experience to the business experience? My observation over a period of time has been that most business owners tend to separate that. But I've found what works for me, and the study that I've done around human behavior, is when you bring this together, you get a much better outcome and much better results. So now I'm putting that all into a program which I'm calling High Level Selling and building a brand around that. It really suiting a lot of business owners who traditionally didn't get into their business because they were good at sales. Like, that wasn't their natural pathway. The natural pathway is they were good at whatever they were passionate about, whatever their technical expertise was. And they know how important sales conversion is, but they've never been trained around that and around that human experience. So I'm really focusing on helping those people overcome the challenges that they face around the sales arena in business. And we all know that you need to have sales success to have business success. So that's how I've evolved into it. That's a quick snapshot of 25, 30 years.
Mate, that's a big nutshell.
It is a big nutshell.
I love that it's not transactional. It is very much about understanding the customer's pains, pressures, wants, needs, and desires, and how do you serve that. That's what creates the opportunity for real connection in sales, I feel. And it means that you're solving problems, not trying to sell something. So I relate to you and what you're doing there in a big way. Let's just build on that sales is not financial, and it's about success. It's about human success. What philosophy led you to that?
That's a good question. And I think this is one of the pivotal things that shifted my overall sales success, is when I came to understand that when you shift your focus away from the monetary benefit or the financial success that sales can bring, and shift back to what are the needs of the human that you're trying to serve, then the financial side looks after itself. What happens with us in our human behavior is that when we allow the financial bit to get in our way from a mindset perspective, it shifts and changes the way we show up and how we serve our client, because we've ultimately got our aim on the prize, on what are we going to achieve. That automatically shifts you away from being able to serve the person that you have in front of you, the best thing that suits that person for the situation that they're in. When you shift it to human success and go, okay, how can I help this person achieve what they want? And you stay purely focused on that, which is the human side. That's why I say that sales success is human success, it's not financial success. The irony is that what you ultimately want, which is the financial success from selling and helping people achieve what they want, that will come by default. I actually made more sales when I let go of the outcome and stayed purely focused on the human element of where this person's at.
Something so simple, when we don't focus on the financial outcome, we actually listen to our customer. So simple.
Absolutely. And I think for me, it's just that mindset shift, that it's the best way to act in service. Is that if you want to truly act in service of your client, and you're there to help their needs and you put theirs at the forefront, which leads into one of the whole philosophies around high level selling, is that when you attune to that, a person feels understood, which is one of our human addictions. When they feel understood, they are more connected to you and they're more likely to build trust with you.
How do you integrate the trust principles into your training, your sales training?
Trust is one of the foundational elements of any sales process. In fact, it's a foundational process of building a relationship with anybody. What I've come to understand of my extensive training around human behaviour is that really trust is a word we use which represents the person feeling safe. So what we need to do is build into the conversation that we're creating with our relationship building with our client to make them feel safe before you get to whatever your value proposition is or however you're going to help them potentially with a solution for a problem they have. If we focus on how do we make them feel safe, and that is to make them feel understood, approve them, get them accepted in who they are, getting them comfortable with you, that positions you to become more compliant to whatever it is I suggest you should do to solve your problem. But until you don't feel safe with me, you're always going to set up a little bit of a barrier to whether this is a good place for me to go.
Can you explain what the invisible barrier is in sales and how do we identify and overcome it?
I think the best way to identify this is that to firstly understand, as humans, our first priority of our nervous system is to keep us safe. It's always going to see what's the danger versus the good. This creates an invisible barrier where we need to get past that before the person feels safe. How we approach our prospect and how we are talking to them when we know that they're going to arrive in this negative emotional state, that prepares us to be able to ask some questions, to validate them, to make them feel significant. And once they feel that way, they start to shift into this positive emotional state. Now, the interesting thing, Calum, is that unless we are there ourselves in this positive emotional state and feeling safe ourselves, we won't bring another human across to that side. So if we're in a negative emotional state, or we don't believe in what we're talking about, or we don't believe in the solution that we have and how we can act in service, we're never going to push someone into that positive emotional state and build that trust.
Well, I've seen many invisible barriers. For me, it's more about just putting myself at ease and being in a positive state, and that looking at the current state that's being presented to me, and identifying what is the real pain, what is the real want or need. Often customers will say one thing, but it's through questioning that will actually lead or get to the true problem, the true want, the true desire. And that barrier that we put up ourselves when we're engaging someone for something it really is to protect ourselves, because we don't want to be led astray. We want the right solution.
Most people will present in a surface level. They'll never present what's really driving them. And part of moving them into that safe place is where they're more likely to go below the surface to what is really their pain point that you can actually tap into. How we do that is through some curious questioning, some probing and curious questions to get them to open up. But if they're not feeling safe, they're never going to open up to what you want to do. And the skill of a salesperson is to be able to understand this, shift their emotional state, and get them to open up about what is really bothering them. And now you can address the real problem, which is more likely to be connected to you, and that's where trust really gets cultivated.
When I got to the true problem or true want of a customer, he said, "Calum, I just want you to solve all of our marketing problems so that I can get back surfing." That's it.
So that was his real core motivator.
That was his core motivator.
Correct.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Excellent, that's good. That shows that he was safe and felt trusted with you.
Can you tell me, what are some high quality questions that we can ask our prospects to have them self-sell?
It's all very situational, of course, but the way I'd like to teach and help people understand is actually ask what I would frame as curious and probing questions. So you literally start your question with, "Hey, I'm curious to know," and then you'd follow up with whatever that is, because what you're doing is inviting them to open up because you're curious about their needs and their wants. Right? When you ask someone what we would classify as a curious questions, I'm really getting intrigued in what's making you tick. What is the real challenge here? What's important to them is what's bothering them. What's the thing that is most likely keeping them awake at night that you may be overlooking unless you ask a probing and curious questions. Now, by asking a curious and probing question and then going deeper on that, so tell me a little bit more about this challenge that you just said. It's something that I hadn't really thought about in our sales process. So you can see what I'm doing now is I'm probing on something that you've said, which leads me into more of the conversation more likely to get to that safe place where you're going to reveal what is really your core driver. Because when I know what your core driver is, I can now adapt my solution to that core driver and not this surface problem, which most people get stuck at.
So how can we get ourselves into a positive state to influence someone that we're looking to serve effectively?
There's a couple of key ones which are quite not earth-shattering, and that is just be present. Be fully present to their needs and what's number one. And actually be grateful for the opportunity of actually helping this other human being resolve whatever that is. And when you arrive in that state and you stay calm to it, let go of the outcome and find out how you can be fully of service. And sometimes that means that you can't help that person, right? And you be open to that.
Open to let go.
Open to let go, right? And if you've let go of the outcome already and you can identify with your prospect how potentially someone else better qualified, better positioned can help them, and you take that to it, you most likely find that that person will trust you more and refer you to someone else because you've been honest with what is their priority, what is their needs.
You've looked after quite a few customers now, and one of them I even know that we share a mutual client. What's some of the feedback that you've gotten from customers that has influenced or helped you identify strategies in your training?
The obvious answer is they're getting better results, but it's deeper than that. The ideal client that I'm looking to serve and help are people that potentially have an identity crisis around selling, right? Because they're fearful of it.
We hate to sell, right?
We hate to sell because we think it's a reflection on our value system that we're trying to convince someone else to do something that they potentially don't want to do. The biggest feedback that I get is that we shift the process away from actually selling anything and to becoming the trusted advisor to help that person resolve their problem. And how to get them to see that you are the obvious choice to help them. So the feedback that I get from a lot of the clients that I'm working with is that this feels a lot smoother now. I don't feel like I'm selling. I'm actually enjoying the conversations because there's a structured process that you can take them through. When you start recognizing your clients respond to you differently, it energizes you to go deeper into the conversations you need to have.
When you have fun in the process and you're sharing your knowledge, selling becomes easy and it becomes fun.
When I get that feedback, that's when I know that the person is now moving forward. There's lots of things that you need to implement, systems, process, a game plan, all that. That's all part of the structure. But you need to understand whether you got the right person in front of you in the first place by asking them probing and curious questions before you even get to your solution. When you take it through this process, it becomes a natural process. It's not a selling process. And so people who are not comfortable with selling, they find this much more of a natural process because it's more of a conversation how I can help you rather than I need to sell you my product or service so I can make $1.
How can interested people get in touch with you to learn more about your high-level selling services, training?
Yeah, just reach out. Like at the end of the day, everything starts with a conversation. The process that I take people through is really have like an exploration call first, just sort of see where they're at on their business journey. I would then invite them, if they are interested, into doing what I would call a diagnostic audit process, which is 2 sessions to deconstruct what they're doing in their business life at the moment, in their sales process, and then come back with solutions on a pathway forward of what that could look like for them. If they resonate with the high-level selling methodology and the blueprint, because that'll all be unfolded in those 2 sessions, then we potentially could work together for 90 days to be able to shift that person from the way they're doing selling now to the way they would rather do selling to be able to get the results they're looking for. And then there's 9 weeks of situational selling, which is you tell me the situations you're in and we'll apply the blueprint to what you're doing so that you can evolve your own conversations that are specific to your needs, your market, your niche, so that when you come out at the end of the 90 days, you don't need me anymore because you now transform to this salesperson that feels much at ease, enjoying the sales process and connecting better with the high quality client that you're actually looking for.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your time. Really appreciate you sharing some insights and depth into sales strategies and the psychology of sales and how that we can go about better serving our clients by just simply listening, working with them, understanding their pain, pressure, what need, desire.
Thanks, Calum. Appreciate the opportunity. And I think the last thing I want to say is that the main point of difference is the depth of understanding human behaviour and remembering to bring that human experience to the business experience. The more we do that, the better we understand the people around us and the clients we're trying to serve. and the better we're going to be able to connect with them and get the business that we really want in our business life. So thanks for the opportunity.